Everything's a mystery. Life is a mystery.
Yeah.
This is not going to be an exciting video, but it's intended for, I suppose, new pilots wondering what you should carry in your flight bag and what you shouldn't carry in your flight bag. So I'm going to go through each item in here, why I carry it in my flight bag at all times. This is just for me, for my particular mission, my kind of flying, and what I think is important to have with me. So I'm going to go through each one. As I go through each one, I'm either going to put it on charge over there so it's ready to go back in the flight bag, or put it back in the flight bag.
Okay, done writing to-do list.
Writing down to-do list. Okay, number one, buy a new chart. This is a chart. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the flight planning chart and airspace chart. So they update every year, and by law, I don't know if I'm right about this or not, but what I've heard is that by law you're supposed to have one of these in the plane. Some people say that a moving map device with the same chart on it and with the backup is sufficient. I don't know if that's true or not, but by all means say in the comments. But in any case, belt and braces, I always carry a paper chart with me, although this one is out of date, so I'm about to get an updated one. And rather than put this into my flight bag and then forget to update it, I'm going to put this onto my desk, so it reminds me to order one straight away. Okay, so this is a handheld radio. Battery's health is critically low. Why is that? So number two is radio battery. Just over a year, beginning, actually I suppose it's nearly 2 years I've owned this, but this is, I use this every time I go flying. I have it on when I'm at the airfield. It's always good to listen, be on frequency before you start the aircraft up so that you've already got good situational awareness. This is a Bluetooth one, so Bluetooth connects to my Bose headset, so that if I do need to use it when I'm in flight, I don't have to worry about connecting up with a cable. However, having said that, although I have successfully connected with Bluetooth to this, I've never actually tested whilst in flight using this as a backup, and I need to do that. So number three, radio in flight. Why the battery health on that's low, I've got no idea. This results in safer flying because I check my tyre pressures far more frequently, because this makes it so easy to A, check them, and B, pump it up. It's supposed to be 42 psi, it's 37. Amazing time-saving device that also makes things safe. So that, the reason I carry that in my flight bag and not in the plane all the time is because after each use it needs to be charged up. So it stays in my flight bag so that it's always charged up. Also, I use it to actually top up car tyres occasionally and other small things. So if I left it in the plane all the time, it A, wouldn't get charged up, and B, wouldn't be useful for other things. But it lives in my flight bag. It's quite heavy, but it's worth it. Totally worth it. Right, my Garmin. This little potentially life-saving device. The one thing I've heard about this, which I love more than anything else, is that one of these devices turns a search and rescue mission into just a rescue mission. It removes the requirement to search for you. That's massive. I mean, you never know where you might go down. It might be in water, you might be in mountain area, you might be in just countryside, but it's surprisingly difficult to find a downed plane if people weren't tracking you when you went down. So I always fly with this, and I always fly with it connected to my belt here. That's where it is. So that if you have to get out of the plane in a rush after a forced landing, you haven't got to worry fumbling around to find that. You get out of the plane, that comes with you, okay? So that's why. Now, these are not cheap. These are not cheap. And I confess I didn't get one before I got a family, before I had kids. But the other little benefit is whenever I'm away flying on my own, away from the family, Anne-Marie can track me on the Garmin website when I switch it on, and it leaves a breadcrumbs trail. She can track wherever I am in the world, which is cool. Like when I was in Norway last year on my own, Anne-Marie was able to see where I was flying, no matter how remote it was. So that's really cool. But it's £15 a month for the subscription to that. That's 180 quid a year. Wait, have I got that right? 150, yeah, £180 a year is the subscription to keep this active. It's a lot of money, but in an emergency scenario, you'd be so glad you did it. So my view is there's no point in false economy when it comes to life-saving stuff. So that's why I invested in one of these. 400 quid when I got it, and 15 quid a month subscription. A lot of money, but peace of mind. I love this noise. Let's get this big thing out of the way. This is my pilot's logbook. I've got my logbook and my licenses, including my FAA license. My FAA license, which is actually a legal requirement for me when I'm flying an Inreach plane, which Dusty is, outside the UK. Yeah, my first solo international flight in this plane, and first solo international flight to continental Europe. Gloves. These strictly never leave my flight bag, okay, because those mornings when it's really, really cold, and you've got a lot of stuff to do outside of the plane, your fingers can really quickly become totally incapacitated. And these are amazing. They're completely waterproof, and although they're not that thick, they're actually really, really warm. They're called Rock Bros is the name, yeah, and they've got this really lovely kind of soft lining, and they are you can run them under a tap, and they're totally waterproof. And I love these gloves. I think they're about 25 quid, which I just think is, they've lasted me for years, and they're still in as new condition. So they always live in my flight bag, always. Unless they're on my hands, they're in my flight bag, never anywhere else. So that whenever I need them, they're always here. The number of more, it took me so many years to learn that lesson as well. Like, idiot, how many times am I going to go out and get totally incapacitated fingers because it's too cold to do anything? This device here, this is my Garmin GLONASS. Oh, the battery's flat. Number 4.
Number 4.
Charge up GPS. So this is a backup device. Actually, when I'm in Norway, where you can't use your Sky Echo anyway, which is what I use for my GPS location signal for Sky Demon on my iPad when I'm in the UK, you can't use Sky Echo in Norway. So this was what I used all the time, flying in Norway for my GPS positioning for the iPad. And I use it also as a backup at all times. So I've always got it in the plane. This needs to be charged up as well. And I can so even if it's not charged up, I can plug it straight in to the cigarette lighter, and it'll power it directly. But I tend to like to keep it charged up. This is my Garmin Inreach Mini instruction manual. And the day that I'm stranded somewhere and need to send text messages via that little device and can't remember how to do it is the day I'll be glad this is in my flight bag. So I try and avoid carrying unnecessary paperwork in my flight bag. In my mind, this is survival stuff. So that lives in here. Handheld radio, instruction manual, Bluetooth operation. That also lives in here because that is also an emergency device. So, oh my goodness. One more thing that was hiding in a secret compartment in here. My high-vis, spare high-vis. I actually forgot that I had. I've got one on the plane as well, but that one's in there. So that's good to remember I've got that. Total fuel card for flying around France. Apparently this massively speeds up your refueling when you're in France. So that's why I've done that. But it doesn't do anything in Norway. So Norway needed an Airbnb card, although I found that Auto Router, I can't remember the app now, there's an app that allowed me to refuel in Norway, which was better. It's different. The truth is I don't really use my kneeball much unless I'm doing instrument training. I rarely find the need for one of these unless I'm doing instrument training, but I always have it to hand. So it's always in the plane. My pilot bag is always within reach when I'm flying the plane. So it's always usually just behind the P2 seat, so I can easily reach back and get the bag if I need it. But this one, by the way, I got a metal board with a really strong elastic clip, and underneath here it's got some useful, including Morse code, things like that, and lots of regular. There, a crosswind component calculation. It's an American one. Light gun signals. And my flight bag has got this. It's got three zip-up compartments. 1, 2, 3. But it's got this centre section as well that's just held together with a magnet, and so it lives in there so that I can always get it out without having to unzip it. Airplane keys. Mini Leatherman. I mean, these things are invaluable. You just never know when you're going to need them, and they've got everything you need on there. Little blades, flat nose, and a sort of half Phillips, a little file. Everyone knows what Leatherman is. They are amazing. They're built so... They're so tough, these things. Bottle opener. Why are you ruining my YouTube video?
I'm just trying to make the video funny.
Pulse oximeter. This, I used to fly up to 12,000 feet quite regularly. Not regularly, but I mean, I would do it. Or it would happen from time to time. I was never up there too long. Never remember getting hypoxic. Never remember even feeling slightly worried about it. I bought this out of an abundance of caution to have a pulse oximeter on board because I think I saw another YouTuber recommend doing that. And I started measuring my my blood oxygen levels when I was just at 7,000 feet. And it really panicked me. It sort of looked low, but I don't know how accurate this is. I felt absolutely fine. I'm used to, I've been skiing up at very high altitudes, but I wonder if, I don't know this and I should know this, but I wonder if vulnerability to hypoxia increases with age, because it's been 10 years now I've been flying and I'm approaching 50 just in a few months' time. So maybe I'm going to check that out, but I am going to keep an eye on this. But especially apparently with night flying, hypoxia affects your vision worse at night. So I think if you're going to be planning to fly higher than about 5,000 feet much, or especially if it's at night, but especially if you want to be up flying up closer to 10,000, 11,000 feet, you can be up there for a while on a long journey. Pulse oximeter, they're cheap. It's 15, 20 quid on Amazon. Maybe that's why I'm getting a bad reading on it. I need to get a more expensive one. Actually, I saw John Hunt, the flying reporter. He had his showing in a recent video, and it looked like a better one than this. I might have to invest in a better one. Also, that lives in the plane, not my pilot bag. So, right. Always handy to have a permanent marker. Green is my favourite colour pen for using on the flight chart. Big Leatherman. Just, you could do a whole video on one of these and how cool they are. But just a bigger, more sturdy, bigger blades, more tools. Serious piece of kit that will get you out of a stick. You know what I've realised? The one thing I'm missing from my flight bag is, or at least from the airplane, is a roll of duct tape. One of my seaplane flying friends in Maine said to me, a Leatherman and a roll of duct tape, that'll get you out of most situations. Okay, so duct tape I need to add in here. Oh, can you add that to the list? Number 5.
Number 5?
Duct tape. Found something else hiding in there.
What?
I found a fuel tester, which is not the one I'm looking for. This was a backup fuel tester I bought. I bought it at Blackbush Aviation, and the first time I used it, this thing just buckled. I went back in and said, can I have my money back because I don't want to use it? And they said no. So I don't think that's okay. In here is a battery pack. It is quite a large external battery pack, and I've got cables in there as well with several different cables. So there's normal USB, there's USB-C, and there's mini USB. Charging up things like my Garmin backup GPS thing. This could power the Sky Echo if the other power source failed. It's good for charging up anything that you can charge up. It charges up phones, iPad, iPhone. All of this can be charged with this. And one of these, if it's fully charged, will give your iPhone 4 full charges from empty to full. So it's about 40 quid, RAV power. But I use that surprisingly more than I ever expected, actually. I've got 2 of these. This is quite an old one. Head torch. That's my backup one. This is my main head torch for night flying. It's got red lights, which are great for night flying as a backup in case the panel lights go. But I tend to, you've seen this one hanging in the plane on that ventilation thing, so it's always right there. I like having it there so I haven't got to fish it out of a bag. If you need it suddenly, it's right there. And then that one is in the pilot bag as a backup. And they're both useful for just using in the hangar at night, that kind of stuff. Right, what are we down to? So, backup batteries. So these backup batteries will power my head torch. And these ones I get through, these Duracell AA batteries I get through quite regularly. on the Bose headsets. We've got 2 pairs of Bose headsets on board. So I've got separate batteries on board, but these are always in my pilot bag. So I've always got backups in my pilot bag, for example, in case I'm in a different plane. This, I love this, little wind-up LED torch, which doesn't have changeable batteries. It just has a rechargeable one. You can charge it up with a little handheld thing, which is really cool. I've had this for 10 years, I think. Blackbush ID. That's just obvious reasons. I tend to fly to Blackbush quite a lot because if I'm going to London, it's the nearest airport. I've got family who live very near Blackbush Airport. There's an engineer who I often visit there as well. So, and I'm planning to meet up with lots of other people at Blackbush too. So, and I have an account there for fuel and landing fees. By the way, guys, if you ever fly to Blackbush, open an account for fuel and landing fees. It saves you so much time. You can just land, park, and leave, get back in your plane and go, and you haven't got to worry about settling up fuel or landing fees on the spot. And they just do a direct debit a week later, which is really cool. Which just leaves sunglasses and snacks. I just like having lots of pairs of spare sunglasses, so I have spare sunglasses in here. But I don't know if any of you guys have ever had that situation when you're flying or you're about to fly and you're just feeling a little bit lightheaded, like your blood sugar's low or something and you just need a bit of food. So these are fruit and nuts, and these are dates and nuts. So they're natural but high in sugar and fat and protein and just good, fairly quick but not too quick release snacks. Now the one thing I'm missing, which I always like to carry in here, is an emergency carton of drink, like just a carton of orange juice. So guys, you've helped me focus on a job that otherwise would have had multiple distractions. And that's actually sped it up. Another benefit of doing YouTube videos that I didn't know. Thank you to my little helper.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe, she said, but it's entirely up to you if you want to, obviously. See you on the next one. Bye, guys. So, guys, you know what to do. And that's a happy smiley face. That's how happy Clara will be.